All right, we're live. What's going on? How's everybody doing today? We are live. Another day, another live stream, another horrible situation that we got to deal with. Let me make sure I have everything ready here so you guys can, I can see you guys and you guys can see me. One of the issues happening with, give me 1 second. All right, there we go. I want to be able to see the chat, but it's not moving. So, all right, there it is. Ooh. All right, so we're back. Sorry about that. All right. Good morning. Good morning, RCA Randy. How you doing? I get everything is now working perfectly now. So we have another day, another police involved an in custody death of another person that we're going to be breaking down. Insidious Vids, what's going on? Kevin, hey, Roscoe, the whole crew is here. Yes, Nate the lawyer. Good morning, good afternoon. Yes, good evening and good night. How's everybody doing? See, I got my coffee. And I am ready with my baby spoon. That's right. Toothbrush, baby spoon, it all depends on which, who believes what. So, thank you, Barney. Barney says, thank you, Barney. Thanks. I'm giving you guys so much content. Good morning, John. John is here. John's my sidebar. That's my second seat right there for the trial. Well, I hope everybody's doing well. We have something very interesting today. Now, let me start with, we're going to break this thing down. YouTube has made it very clear that this video or the stuff that I'm going to show you today is not suitable for everyone. So we must say one thing. Hey, listen, Curb BBQ, thank you so much for that case slate that you put yesterday. I read it and it's very similar, but it doesn't, I'll speak about it a little later, but thank you for that case. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that to you if you came in again, but thank you. It was really good. And again, Barney, thank you for the super chat too. Forgot to give my boy Barney a little heads up, but all right. So today we're going to be going over the case of Mr. Greene. Now, I'm trying to figure this out, how we're going to do this, because there's a lot of information, but you guys know how I like to do these things. I like to take race out of them, and I like to just go with as factual as I can and not give my opinion. So that's what I'm going to try to do here today. I'm going to just try to be as factual as possible and let everyone know and let you come to your own conclusions. So we're going to do this live. This is demonetized. YouTube is not gonna does not want this. It's funny because I was talking to another creator about this, and we were saying, well, with these police breakdowns, I'm just playing the stuff that are, CNN played, Fox News played, all these things are playing it, and they're getting plenty of ads on those TV shows. But now, but if you play them on YouTube, the same videos that they're playing on CNN, I play them here on YouTube, and I can't get advertising revenue, but CNN gets all the MSNBC. They played some of these clips on Good Morning America, for God's sake. But it's a choice, right? And my choice is, do I do these videos that really bring literally no AdSense income? Now, AdSense income for me is huge, right? Because I have some videos out there that hit huge with AdSense. The majority of the money I make is actually from AdSense. So doing videos like this actually hurts my channel or hurts my pockets, because as soon as they're demonetized, unless you guys super chat, it's really, I get nothing from them. But I kind of feel compelled to do them because I think getting the information out so people can look at these situations from a legal perspective and not an emotional, media narrative perspective, I think it's important. I think it's always been important. So I think I've talked enough so people can get inside here. Let me play the intro because, I got to set up. I got the paid version now. So here's the intro, and then we're going to get right into it. Boom. Intro. Yeah, I like the intro. All right, knowledge is power. YouTube knows that. Keep going, Nate. I am. So I got to give my early spiel. If you like what I do and you like if you like what I do and you like the way these breakdowns happen, if you're getting some value from it, channel memberships, PayPal, I got, well, I soon will have merch. And super chats. Every little bit helps. Every little bit, it helps in two ways. It helps me not have to depend on the boss or my boss, which is YouTube. So, I can kind of, avoid that piece. And then I can also give you content, which I think is valuable. And I honestly think this is valuable to you guys and to everyone. So, ground rules. Number one, I'm not going to mention race in this incident, right? Race is not going to be an issue. I want you to believe this is a white guy, if that helps, or if this is a Hispanic guy. We're going to remove race as an issue in this particular case. I know it's going to be hard to do. I know some people are going to be like, "Oh my God, why, Nate? You're pandering to your conservative viewers." But no, let's just do something crazy, right? Let's just take race out of it and just look at this person as an individual, and look at these cops as individuals. Let's assume that they're all the same race, right? And let's look at the incident for what it is. Let's look at the incident for what it is, and then try to see if things are correct legally or even morally, right? Let's just look at the incident. So let us not color this with race. Let's not color this with politics. Just look at the incident, and we'll see what we can come to. Now, let me put this up on the screen because I think there's a couple of things that I have to kind of go over with some people. So remember this case? This was the case of the young lady where the police officer shot this young lady. She had the knife and was about to stab the other woman. I was called a race traitor because I said the police were justified in this shooting, right? I'm a race traitor, right? I don't like black people because I said that the police officer here was justified. And remember this, when this shooting occurred, the body cam video was out the next day, right? Because it was obvious the officer was justified. Body video came out the next day. This was a good shoot. This police officer was, essentially a hero because he saved someone's life. But, there were Black Lives Matter protests. So I was called a race traitor for coming to the opposite opinion. But obviously I was correct. And it's interesting because, every case I always say, just let's look at the facts of the case and let's just take race. And then we can come to conclusions. And if race is a part of it, then we can speak about that. Now, that doesn't mean that race doesn't have some overarching theme to, all these police interactions. But I like to just let's just be very specific and look at them from a legal perspective without race. So this was one of the cases that I was kind of raked over the coals from the left with. Here's another case. I said Jacob Blake, who had a knife when this first came out. I was one of the few people who said that it was justified. The police were justified in shooting Jacob Blake. I said he had a knife. He's reaching for this. So I made that same, that same analysis. And again, because all the NBA stars, because all, the left was saying, hey, you're wrong again. But I happen to be right? I happen to be right. Jacob Blake had a knife. Everyone believes now that this was a justified shooting based on the fact that he had a criminal warrant. So I take it from the left a lot because I just like to look at these things and say, do I believe this is justified? Do I don't believe this is justified? And I give you the hard facts. And a lot of times, even the people on the left can't deny the hard facts in a lot of these cases. Now, there's something interesting about this next case. This is the Walter Scott case. For those of you who don't know who Walter Scott is, Walter Scott was someone who he was wrestling police just a couple of seconds before this, turned, he's unarmed, he was running away, and the cops shot him X amount of times in the back, right? Obviously, the cop is now doing massive time in jail. So obviously, this was unjustified, right? But I actually have fans who believe this was a justified shooting someone running away who's unarmed, a police officer. Some people believe that this was a justified shooting. People believe this was justified. But one of the weirdest parts about this, right, is that the same person, actually there's two people, the same two people who believe this was justified also believes the police weren't justified in the Ashley Babbitt shooting, where she is trying to go into, and I believe the police are justified in the Ashley Babbitt shooting, where she's trying to go and threaten lawmakers behind a barricaded door. They broke in and she's breaking down the door and jumping through with a backpack, and police shot her. And one of the people actually said that the cop, because you can see he's black because of his hands, they said, well, the cop was what did they say? They said the cop was a black supremacist and he just shot at a white woman. And it was weird to me because I'm like, well, in one instance, the person running away from the cops is a threat and he can be shot, the unarmed person running away. And then the other option, the person who's breaking through barricaded doors during a riot, trying to attack lawmakers, and the police shoot that person, and that's not justified. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about each incident. Let's just say she's not, let's say she wasn't white. Let's say she's a black man, it's it's always insane. And let's just be clear. This is because, for a lot of people, race plays a big role in this. Race plays a big part in this. Race just plays a big part in this, right? Someone, they're screaming, kill the vice president, breaking down doors. The police say, stop, don't shoot, stop, we're going to shoot. She kept going. But it's interesting because I think for some people, if she was black, this would all of a sudden be justified. But since she's white, and that's what I think. I think even in a Jacob Blake situation, I think if he was white, the Black Lives Matter people would believe that was justified. But since he's black, they don't. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I like to take race out of it, because when you look at the race of the person, people inherently color it, right? Because they, it's if you are someone who tendency to see the race of the person as being innocent, as white, then you're going to do that. If you tendency to see the person as being black, as being a victim of police violence, you're going to. But if you just look at the facts and look at the evidence, then I think if you're a fair person, you'll come to a different conclusion. So again, there's a lot of people who believe Ashley Babbitt's killing was unjustified, but they'll think Walter Scott's was. It actually makes no sense. It's not. What I say, it's not a consistent view, but it is what it is. So I say that to say this. The reason why I'm asking you to not consider race is so we don't have these issues. So we can just say, this is what happened. Look at the facts and judge them for what it is, right? Judge us for what it is. So let's move forward. Let me look at the chat to see. Jacob Blake didn't die. Facts. Yeah, he was paralyzed. Even if she was a black man, still wouldn't have been justified. You're bringing color into the case. I don't believe you. I believe that it was justified. I believe it was 100% justified. So, but maybe you're right. Maybe if she was black, but I'm telling you, it's not the thinking isn't consistent on both sides. So, Nate lost me when he said the cops were justified to murder Beast because he had a knife. No, it's not murder if you have a knife and the cops are pointing guns at you and I'm sorry. Yeah. See, Jacob Blake, innocent. You shoot people with knives. Yeah, that's what happens. I'm sorry. But you see, from both sides. So the fact that everybody, right? The fact that everyone is upset. I think I'm doing that. That's the job, right? Both are unjustified. There it is. So again, it's not about your opinion. It's about the facts, and it's about the law and whether the law. So as you can see, a lot of people are coming to different opinions, but I think the opinions are colored too much by the politics and the race. I think it's political bias on Babbitt more than race. It's possible. It's possible. It's possible. It may be political, maybe biased, but I'm just calling it for what it is. White person charging at police, breaking down a barricade after being told multiple times to stop or they're going to shoot, goes and you shoot them, unjustified. Black person running away, unarmed, shot in the back multiple times, justified. That's just not consistent. And then I think if you switch the races on both of those, it may be a different scenario. But let whoever wants to struggle with that, let them struggle with that. I think the shooting in the Capitol was unjustified because it was unreasonable, because it didn't stop a threat. It did. It stopped her. She was a threat. Just like yesterday, when the person was driving away, people were saying, well, there was a threat to houses and stuff. This is a direct threat, right? And that's what I'm saying. You see, people can't understand that this was a direct threat in one way. The other one, when people are walking away from the police, they also say it's a threat. And I think that, and again, you see, one person's charging at police happens to be white, not a threat. One person's running away from the police with no weapons is a threat. Again, I think I'm sorry, guys. I've just got to call it what it is. I think it may be politics, it may be race, but you're not consistent in your views. And if you're not, that's fine. But it's got to call it what it is. You just got to call it what it is. So with that, let's remove race from this situation, right? Let's just remove it. Let's remove it because we can see that most people, for some reason, can't get past it and let's remove politics from it, right? Let's just remove politics. Let's just look at what happened from start to finish. So let's start with Ronald Greene. Now, Ronald Greene is a 49-year-old man. Actually, supposed to have an E on the end of his name. He's 49 years old, and he was in a high-speed chase with police. Now, this high-speed chase went on for a while, and police eventually he actually crashed the car, and police got there. So he crashed the car, and there was the issue. Now, I'm going to give you the story through the timeline, so there's no confusion about what happened when. So after his car crashes, I'm going to remove this from the screen. So after his car crashes, police, the next thing that we know is that he goes to the hospital. Police take him to the hospital, and the family, the first thing police tell the family is that he died on impact. So he was driving recklessly from police. He hit a tree and he died on impact. So that's what the police told the family. So they thought he died on impact from the vehicle. The police then also told the hospital, the ER doctors at the hospital, that he died on impact from the car accident. So we have the police telling two different people. The first one is that he died after on impact hitting the tree, and then they tell the ER doctor he died on impact hitting the tree, and that's what happened. So those are the two things that police told initially. But the hero of this case, and I think the hero that started the ball rolling to this particular case, is the ER doctor, because the ER doctor noticed a couple of things. Number one, this guy had the contusions on his hands from being handcuffed. So if he died on impact, why does he have contusions on his wrists from handcuffs? Also, he had the contusions on his legs from the leg restraints. So it's like, well, why would you have to put leg restraints and handcuff somebody who died on impact? And then the third thing that you had was he had the prongs in his back from the taser. He had 2 prongs in his back from the taser. So this person who supposedly crashed into the tree, died on impact, has been handcuffed, has had leg restraints on, and has 2 prongs in their back from being tased. So let me go back to this. So the ER doctor obviously is not an idiot. He then says, well, hold on. We may have a problem here, right? We may have a problem. So the AP got the medical records, and it showed that this doctor, when Greene arrived at the hospital, he was bruised and bloody with 2 prongs in his back with the handcuff restraints and all that. And it led the doctor to say, well, hey, this doesn't seem like somebody died on impact after crashing into a tree. The doctor wrote, does not add up. The doctor wrote. That's a quote. So now you have the story. So now that you guys have the story, right? Police go, they got somebody, they bring a dead body to the hospital. This guy died on impact. You're like, oh my God, what happened? But things aren't adding up. So at this point in time, I think everybody's, kind of trying to figure everything out. But we know that he couldn't have died at impact because why did all that stuff happen? But we didn't have any body cam footage. We didn't have anything. We just had this. Now, again, we're not talking about race. Take race out of the equation. We're just talking about what happened. That's what the police told the family. That's what the police told the doctor. And now we're at this point where we're moving forward. Okay, so the police told the doctor that, the police told the family that, and now things had to change. So the doctor, wrote in his report, of course, the ball rolling. So then when investigators took a look at the car, it was like, well, hold on, you have some minor damage back in the back. This is damage. But this doesn't seem like somebody just ran into a car and died, right? Because he had some serious bruising all over his body. That was the reason why they said that he died from the car accident. But here you have some, the car it doesn't seem like this car was in a major accident where someone died, right? So this started getting this started getting a little crazy in this point in time. You're like, this is this doesn't seem like somebody who died in a car. So police then had to kind of come and change up the story a little bit, right? Because now they've been exposed. You got all the forensics and everything is pointing to that this guy didn't die on impact, right? This guy didn't die on impact. I'm sorry. It's there. So what happened? The police then write this statement after telling the doctor and after telling the family that he died on impact. They write this: the pursuit ended when Greene crashed his vehicle. Greene was taken into custody after resisting arrest and a struggle with troopers. Again, this is now all new information. A short time later, Greene became unresponsive and was transported to the Glenwood Medical Center. Greene died while en route to the Glenwood Medical Center. So that's what the police said. So we're all clear. We got police at first that just said that, hey, we chased this guy, crashed into the tree, he died on impact, we took him to the hospital. That's what they told the family. That's what they told the doctors. All the stuff just didn't add up. Then they changed the story. We stopped him, struggle, and he died. Okay. So at this point in time, we really don't have a cover up. And don't forget, this happened before George Floyd. So we really don't have any, this is a cover up. This is any type of, we just kind of have a story that's starting to have a lot of holes in it, right? So at this point, what do you do? So some audio came out. Now, one of the arresting officers at the scene, his name was, I think, Hollingsworth or something like that. What he said, what this officer said, is that this officer was actually talking on the phone with another officer, but his body cam actually recorded the phone call. So that's what we're talking about. So that recording of this officer who was at the scene, who was dealing with this struggle, this is what he was recorded saying over the phone. So let's listen to that recording. Let me show you this. I forget what's the cop's name. Chris Hollingsworth. This is Chris Hollingsworth, one of the officers at the scene, and I'll read it for you first, so before you can hear it. He says, "And I beat the ever living fuck out of him, choked him, and everything else, trying to get him under control. We finally got him in handcuffs when a third man got there, and the son of a bitch was still fighting and was still wrestling with him, and we tried to hold him down. He was spitting blood everywhere, and all of a sudden, he just went limp," right? So this doesn't sound like somebody who died on impact, right? This doesn't sound like somebody who died on impact. It just doesn't. This is saying that no, he was not only was he alive, he was alive and was struggling a little bit, right? So first he died on impact. Now you got an officer, who doesn't know that they're being recorded on camera saying, Somebody said Nate loves the cursey words. Yeah, Nate loves the cursey words. So we're here. So I don't care if you're conservative. I don't care if you're liberal. This stinks. This stinks. But now I'm going to let you hear it from the horse's mouth. Let's hear the audio. I'll play it again. Listen for it. Oh, no sound. Somebody says he got no sound. I'll play it again. So now we know what happened. So now we know what happened. So the officer now, again, before it was he died on impact. Now we got to wrestle. Now we got, beating him down. And now we got people, we were trying to wrestle and he just went limp. So the story now is starting to get even more crazy, right? Even more crazy. It just is starting to get more and more and more insane. It just is. So what happens after that, right? What do we have after that? So let me go back to this so you guys can see it. So what happens next is, put this like this. What happens is that now Chris Hollingsworth, now this is a crazy turn. This is like some 60 Minutes or something crazy stuff. This guy dies. This guy dies in a car accident. So this officer dies in a car accident the day they tell him that he's going to be fired for this incident. Crazy, right? So now you have this kind of left wing thing with this guy in the left wing, this thing out of left field that just happens, right? So here it is. A police officer, this is Newsweek reporting, a police officer who died in a car crash just hours after being told that he was to be fired over his role in the death of a black man, has been buried in a secret ceremony. Now, they buried this officer with full honors, right? With full honors after this. So they told him, we're about to fire you behind. He goes and gets into the car accident and they bury him with full honors. This person who they were going to fire for, killing someone. So let me continue to read it. Officials had moved to keep the funeral of Louisiana State Trooper Chris Hollingsworth under wraps amid concerns that it would attract protesters angry at the in-depth custody of Ronald Greene. The Associated Press reported that Hollingsworth was buried with honors Friday amid tight security. So they buried this guy with honors. He's a hero. He's a hero. The guy who they were just about to fire, for killing this guy. So now, when we talk about this stinks. This stinks. This stinks. Am I alone with saying none of this stuff adds up? This is just crazy, right? This is like insane stuff. Thank you so much for bringing facts to the discussion. They were often dominated by emotional narratives. Yeah, I'm just laying it out for you. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. So there we go, right? So it gets crazier. So now, before we get there, let me go back here. So we're about to go into the body cam footage. Now, one of the things that I always find interesting in this is we all now know the police narrative, right? And how it's changed. So first we have someone dying on impact. That's what you tell the family. That's what you tell the doctors. That doesn't, because the evidence shows that that's all crap. Then you got an officer who then comes and says, yeah, we beat the guy to death and, and all this other stuff. Then he goes and they tell him, well, we're about to fire you behind. He goes and gets to a car accident. He dies after making this statement that implicates everybody else. And they give him full honors. And then he's never to be heard from again. So there is an active criminal investigation going on because of this. But this happened 2 years ago. Now, remember earlier when I told you, when the police are justified, the body camera comes out quick, right? Even in the last one we saw yesterday, which is 50-50, a 50-50 case, it came out a month later. And the other case with the young lady, Ma'Khia Bryant, when she's about to stab the girl, it came out the next day, right? Because the police are justified, body cameras come out quickly. When police are not justified, the body camera comes out very slowly, very slowly. So we are going to right now do our thing, right? Do what we always do. Break it down, break the body camera footage down, and use the law to break it down. Before we get there, let me go back here. Remove this. Sorry, let me remove this from the stream. Now I want to, let's do this right, because I don't want to skip any steps, because I want to be extremely factual with this, because I think this deserves to be careful. So let me go here. So this is what police had initially put out as whether this shooting was justified or not. So I'll read this. The Associated Press. Louisiana police declined to comment on the contents of the video because this was the video. In a statement, the agency said it was premature public release of the investigative files. The video evidence in the case is not authorized and undermines the investigative process, compromises the fair and impartial outcome. So this is what the Louisiana State Police said. State Police brass initially argued the troopers' use of force was justified. And they use, in this term I use all the time, but I say it's lawful but awful. They said it's awful but lawful, as ranking officials described it. But it did not open an administrative investigation until 474 days, a year, almost a year and a half, right? A year plus days after Greene's death. So the police department says in this jurisdiction, the police department in this jurisdiction, they say that this was a justified shooting. Unjustified shooting. This was a justified use of force. So now we have the justified use of force. We have all these different stories, and now we are here. So we're here now, right? Now we get to decide based on the few facts that we have for the body cam, whether this was justified. Now, how are we going to do this? So, when we break this thing down, let me go for all the new people out there. We're going to go through it. We look at the objectively reasonable standard. This is a standard within every state. This is a constitutional standard where if you're going to use force, especially deadly physical force, officers are judged using this standard. This standard is from a case called Graham v. Connor. Here's a case site. You can look it up. This was, if you watch the George Floyd coverage, if you even watch any of the George Floyd case, this is the case that they cited all throughout that trial. And all police use of force within the United States are judged by this standard. So what is the objectively reasonable standard? Well, obviously, there are three factors. And essentially, it is what a reasonable officer would do facing the same sort of circumstances without the benefit of 20/20 hindsight. That is what this is about. And that's what we're going to apply to this body camera footage as we do to all body camera footage, right? We're going to look at the body camera footage and see if it fits within the objectively reasonable standard. Thanks so much, Lev, for joining. New member, thank you. So this is what we're going to do. So first, we can answer the first question, obviously. The first two of these questions, right? And what do I mean by that? So the first is the 911 call. Well, we know he was resisting being pulled over, right? It was a high-speed chase on the highway. That's the 911 call. You get somebody in a high-speed chase, won't want to be pulled over, and car accident. So that's what the 911 situation is. So that's the call for service. Obviously, it's a heightened situation. So the factor is going to tend to weigh in for law enforcement. We also know that running from the police is technically resisting arrest. So we know we have this resisting arrest piece that we have to deal with too. That I also believe, if you look at it objectively, you can say tends to lean on the side of the officers. Somebody who you're running through a high-speed chase with. You're trying to, effectuate an arrest, and the person, has resisted. So you have this resisting arrest piece of it, which is going to lead to maybe officers using a heightened level of force. And then we have the serious threat element of the use of force, right? Use of force is justified, especially use of deadly physical force, when you have this serious threat. And, you have to determine a threat level. Threat level's high, then you're able to use force. Now, I want to make sure everyone understands one point about these factors. We weigh factors. So you can have one factor that's so dominant that it overtakes all the other ones. And let me explain that. So let's say we have a 911 call for a cat stuck in a tree. And you get there and the person's not resisting arrest. But then the person pulls out a 9mm and starts pointing at the officer. That officer then responds and kills that person. Well, based on these factors, the 911 calls a cat in a tree. The person wasn't resisting arrest, and then the person kills then the person became a serious imminent threat, and the police responded to that threat. So in that case, the one factor was so massive that it overcame the other factors. And you can have it in reverse, where you can have the 911 call is a bank robbery, right? You get there and the person is actively resisting arrest, right? But let's say that's a 7-year-old kid that's unarmed. Well, that person's not a serious threat, So the factors, even though the two of the factors are really, really bad, the threat level is so low. And there are other factors that we should also consider too. The amount of officers there. If it's one officer to one suspect, that's different force level using if you got six officers there. Like in this case, you had six officers versus one suspect, and so forth and so forth. The size of the officers versus the size of the suspect. So that's what I think we all need to understand. We're looking at it whether a reasonable officer facing the same set of circumstances would have also been there. So that's the law. So now we're going to look at the body cam footage and see if we can go through this last element, the serious threat element, and see if officers were justified. Now, two things. One, there are two parts to this. Obviously, the cover up. The cover up is a problem, right? The fact that they lied to the doctor, the fact that they lied to the family, right, and said that this person was dead on impact. And now they're saying that the officer was justified. It's automatically tending to help to color my opinion that the officers may not have been justified. And the reason why it's coloring my opinion in that way is because of the cover up. So I want people to try to let's try to remove that piece of it. If that's coloring your opinion, let's move that piece and just look at the video to see if we can just look at it objectively and not color it with that. Obviously, we're going to use that later, but let's look at the video and using this standard that I've just laid to you. Nate, is there any time when officers are trained to shoot but not kill? You're not trained to shoot to kill. You're trained to shoot to stop the threat. So you're trained to shoot in a mass to stop the threat. So if that happens to kill the person, it's one thing. But I'm not trained to. They don't train us to shoot at people's legs and that type of stuff. If you're pulling out your weapon to engage someone with deadly physical force, it's if that person's using that and you're trying to stop that threat, you don't shoot the wound. You shoot to stop the threat. And there's big issues with trying to shoot at people's legs and things of that nature. Like somebody was saying in Micaiah Bryant situation, where she had the knife. Oops, let me remove this. Where she had the knife, where they were like, why couldn't they shoot at the knife? Well, bullets, that's a hard shot, shooting at a small target like a hand that's moving also. So, most people aren't that type of expert shots, but just wanted to let you guys know. Yeah. So you shoot center mass and you shoot to stop the threat. That's what you do. So this is a great question. Is there any precedent for the idea? A single shot could disable an unarmed. Yeah, but if you shoot the person one time and they drop the gun and fall down, that's one thing. But yeah, you shoot to stop the threat. Maybe they can start training people to pinpoint accuracy, shoot other things. But that's essentially what you do. And if you're not shooting to stop a threat, then you're not supposed to pull out your firearm, right? Your firearm is only used to respond to deadly physical force. So it's not used. If I see I don't. It's something that we don't train. Well, again, I haven't been in law enforcement in what, 7 years, so the training may have been different and the policies may have been different. But from my understanding and from when I was trained, we shoot to stop the threat, but only in certain circumstances. And obviously, those have to be extreme circumstances. It's a very good question. What does the coroner report say? Oh, cover up. Oh, I don't know. He didn't die from. One thing I know that it couldn't have said, right, is that he died on impact from a car accident. You can't say that, right? If it said that, we're in problems, right? So I'm not sure with the medical, because again, they haven't released all this information. They just haven't. And the reason why they haven't released all this information, who knows? It's been almost 2 years. They haven't released all this information. So they didn't release the body cam until somebody leaked it the other day. It would have still not been here. So. Good question. I would love to see the medical report. But let's go to now the body cam footage, right? So we've looked at all that. Let's go to the body cam footage and see what we can say. Now, I got to tell everybody before we look at this body cam footage, viewer discretion is advised. This thing is extremely hard to look at, extremely hard to watch. It just is. If you don't want to see someone being roughed up by police, this is awful. I'm just making sure that you guys are well aware before you start looking at this, what we're about to see. So, this is not thing. Now, the AP is the one who got the body cam footage, and we are going to look at it together. So let's start with, now this is the commentary, which we're not going to look at. So This is the first body cam footage of the incident.
Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands, mother. Come here, mother. I got. Get out. Okay. Oh, Lord Jesus. Oh, get out. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm scared. I'm your brother. I'm scared.
So that was the first video. So again, this body cam video was supposedly of somebody who died on impact, right? So somebody who died at impact. How is he screaming? He's scared. Why are you tasing him? He's supposedly dead on impact. So this man who's dead on impact seems to be being pulled out the car. Now, that was the first video that, again, it only got very small amounts of video. So this dead man, who they said was dead on impact, they now are tasing, and you see that particular piece of it. Let's go to the second body cam footage. Let me just scroll down. AP. Let me close this. There we go. Close that AP. I don't want to see a thing. So here's the second piece of body cam footage. Let's play it.
Oh, sir, get on the ground. Get on the ground. Taser. Push your hands behind your back. Behind your back.
Make sure he ain't rolling.
Get your hands behind your back. Oh, God damn it, get up here. Get that fucking arm. Motherfucker, you better not move. Got it? Blood all over. Oh, this guy ain't got fucking AIDS.
Okay. So now I'm just, so now we've seen the first part, the dead man who supposedly died on impact. They're tasing him out the car. So this person, again, who's supposedly the cop said died on impact, has now been pulled out, put on the floor, and he's being punched, and he's, they put his hands behind his back and they cuff him. So now we have someone who's handcuffed, someone who's been roughed up a little bit. He was, this was a high-speed chase that ended. He's been roughed up. He's been handcuffed. Was he an imminent threat? Was he an immediate threat to the officers? You got 6 officers here. So he's laying face down. They got him handcuffed. He's under control now. So now everyone turns off their microphone. Everybody turns off their microphone. So their microphones are off at this particular time, and the person is handcuffed and is not resisting, obviously, at this point in time, because he doesn't, he's been handcuffed, and they're putting leg shackles on. So we're going to look at the next video to see what happens. So this is the last video, and you're not going to hear any audio. Why? Because police turned off the audio. So here we go. Again, there's no audio. You see, he was trying to turn over because he's in a prone position, but the officer kicked him and made him go lay back face down. Now they've got the leg restraints on here, as you can see, and they're still keeping him face down, belly down. Again, remember, being like this in a prone position could asphyxiate you, so it could kill you. You see this guy, he pulls him because he's trying to turn over so he can breathe, but the cop pulls him by the leg restraints. So you see the leg restraints, and he pulls him. All right. So now you guys have seen everything that AP has put out. He's got the leg restraints on. One cop then pulls him by the leg restraints, right, to keep him face down. That's what, and you can see in the picture, which is extremely gruesome. He's all beat up. His face is all ripped up from when he pulled him. So that's what you got. That's what you got. So even after he was handcuffed and leg restraints, he was still essentially brutalized a little bit. Not a little bit. He was brutalized still, even being fully restrained. So, even if you could say he was resisting at one point, even though he was telling you, please, 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 he's not resisting all the way through. And even at the end, it doesn't seem like he's resisting. No, he doesn't. He's not resisting at the end, right? He's shackled with legs and arms and everything. And they're still, now we have this. And again, I'm just going to say it. This is insane. And I love the fact that we can look at this and understand that we can look at this, and if you believe this is wrong, you can understand why, right? Because it's simple. These are simple things that happen. Salem Max says it's justified. This person thinks that is justified. I don't know why, but maybe this person has to say something else. Maybe a person has to say something else. I don't know why this. I don't know who would believe this was justified, especially if you then add the fact that the cops lied about it. If this was justified, why would the cops lie about them having to do this, right? Obviously, they know this is not justified. But again, people, it's a black man being this. Some people are going to have that opinion, but I think you have to just look at the facts and kind of say, is this justified or not? Is there anything to discuss here? This one isn't even close. Well, you see, there's people in the chat who believes that this was totally justified. Believes it's totally justified. So after the cop who was here got their hero's welcome. Oh yeah, somebody said they're just a troll. Now, after the cop is there with their hero's, funeral, the cop died with the hero's funeral, we now are left with our analysis. Hold on, let me go right back here one more time. So we are now here with our analysis. So let's go back. The 911 call. There were a couple of people in the chat who were asking about the 911 call. The 911 call wasn't a 911 call. This person was in a high-speed chase from the cops. This guy was running from the police. This guy was 110% fleeing from officers at a high rate of speed. They had to chase this guy, and this guy had an accident. That's how the car stopped. Those are the facts. Let's just be clear on the facts. Was he resisting arrest? Yes, he was resisting arrest. You saw that he didn't. They were a high-speed chase for God's sake. He was resisting arrest, and when he got to the car, it seemed like he was giving up, because even though he was saying, I give up, I do this, the police, seemed to not believe him, and they had a tough time handcuffing him. You saw that from the video. So was he resisting arrest? I believe an argument can be made. Yes, he was resisting arrest. And then the last factor is, was he a serious threat to the officers? Or 6 officers, 1 person, face down. They had problems putting the handcuffs on, but when they did, then obviously they got a little extra in after that. Was this amount of force appropriate based on the totality of the circumstances? 6 officers, 1 suspect, face down. The objectively reasonable standard seems not to be going in the officer's favor on this one. But again, it really depends on what you guys think. Let me take care of some super chats. Nate, there is only one vid I've ever seen of a weapon being shot out of a suspect's hand by a cop. That was done by a police sniper. Yes, but they don't train everybody to be snipers. But I think I saw that video. I've seen a video like that before, but yeah, it's 9mm. It's not happening. Thanks for the super chat, Nate. Just wanted to say I appreciate your unbiased and in-depth analysis. Thanks, Patrick. I appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thanks. So, I'm about to rule, but I'm not going to destroy the name. But thank you for the super chat. Not sure why this man is dead. Didn't see anything that should have been fatal. What happened to him? How many times did they tase him? We need to see the coroner's report. Amen to that. I don't know why he died either, but he was dead before he got to the hospital, right? And the police said he died on impact. The police initially said he died on impact. Would you believe anything the police say at this particular point? I don't know. And obviously, the reason why they wanted to say he died during the car crash is that it explains all the bruises and stuff. I don't know. I want to show you the picture of him bruised up, but I think it just might be too graphic for YouTube, and I think it might be too graphic. But if you guys Google it, you will see how unbelievably bad this guy looked. There are some weird trees in Louisiana. We need a botanist in here. They evolved from years of us making their family into furniture. Insidious vids. The tree is the tree killing him. So, I just, this one is, I don't like John said, I don't think this one is close, people. I don't think this one is close. Like, if we're saying, I don't see how this is, I would like to see more, and more stuff is coming out. There's like 46 minutes of a video out there. We only saw 3 small clips, but I don't know. This is weird. Nate the lawyer, don't show the PM pieces, you'll get flagged. Yeah. But did you see that beatdown? They ruptured a kidney or a liver. Yeah, because they were punching the kidneys and liver and all that stuff. So it is, I'll say this. They told the family, if the story hadn't changed so dramatically from he died on impact till, that, hey, we just got in, he just crashed into the tree and we took him to the hospital. There's something more here. And I think obviously everybody knows there's something more here. And I think if we remove the race situation from this, I think any fair-minded person, let's say he was white. Let's just go crazy, right? And say this was a white guy. Would this be acceptable? And I don't think it's acceptable that he's black. And I think most people and most of the fans would say, no matter what his race was, this is unacceptable, right? Especially the cover-up piece of it. But it's I don't know. Thank you so much for a great presentation for all of us, Nate's Nate, not lawyer. Thanks again. Thank you, Killer. I appreciate it. Here you go, Nate the lawyer. It was just that they lied. They lied so badly. Yeah, they they did. I don't know. But it's all going to come down to what do you guys think, right? Because the facts are what they are. I don't think we can change the facts. Hopefully more facts will come out about this case. The family is suing in the 1983 lawsuit because they want this to come out. They want to find out what happened to their family member. But this stinks high hell. There needs to be a commission, even if it takes 10 years to investigate all police brutality cover-ups. People knew them knows. People who knew them knows. Yeah, people who knew them knows. Yes. And let's not forget, they were firing the cop. The cops who were doing this, they were firing, right? They told the cop, we're going to fire you. And then he got into the accident and died. The one that happened to have the audio saying that, this wasn't, we beat his ass. This is, there's a lot going on here. And it was on his own personal vehicle too. It wasn't on duty. So I predict that the family will soon be quite wealthy. Yes. So let me know in the chat. The family's suing, right, for restitution for his death. Do you think the family's going to win the wrongful death suit? 1 in the chat for yes, 2 for no. Do you think the family has a case for wrongful death in this particular case, especially with the lies? So now, if you're on the jury, you heard about the lies, you heard about them telling. 1 for yes, if you think the family is going to get paid. 2 for no. So, the family, the family may be sitting pretty. The family's probably going to be millionaires. Now, At the end of the day, I hope everyone here can appreciate the fact that these cases are always complicated, but we need to hold the government, the people who we entrust with the power to make these decisions accountable. We need to trust that when they tell us something, they're giving us the facts so we can make the decision. These people in Louisiana lied to us all, outright lied to everybody, lied to the family, lied to the doctors. They tried to cover this up. And that is a problem. So even if you believe this is justified, which I don't know how you can do that, but even if you do, you also have to I think you should join with me and join with everyone else who's, I think, rational with saying trying to cover up the way this man died is punishable and is probably criminal. And that is unacceptable in today's world, right? It's unacceptable to all of us. We should all be against police covering up something like this. If they said, hell, we had a problem, it just went bad, I think the police would have been better off than trying to cover it up. Because again, what generally gets you put in prison is the cover up, not the crime. And that's what's happening here. I think the cover up is going to, because if everything was on the up and up, why do you need to cover it up? Right? Why do you need to cover it up? And again, we don't even have the full body camera footage. We don't know everything that happened, right? There's dashboard camera from the chase. There's dashboard camera from when the first stop. There's all of this, but they haven't released it. Why? Think about that, people. Why haven't they released all of the footage? Do you think they haven't released it because it shows the cops are all innocent and it was all good, right? No, but it's not. It's not. They're keeping it hidden. They're saying obviously for them, and it's been 2 years. So that's the presentation for the day. But now it's up to you. What do you guys think? So let me know in the comment section. Again, I would implore you to remove race from your mind and just look at the internet. And if it makes you feel better, if you think it's a white guy, if you think it's an Asian guy, whatever makes you feel more comfortable, but try to take race out of it, try to take politics out of it. Let's say this guy's a Trump supporter. Just look at the evidence and tell me where you come out, because I think it's important. Now that you have the facts, what's your conclusion? Last super chat, Nate. This isn't close. Sick, by the way. There are more unjustified killings of excessive force post 2016, or the body cameras are catching them now. Of course, yeah. This but the thing is that people, like, I've made mistakes out there when I've arrested people, and it happens. And I think there are more. There are probably a lot more that aren't caught on body cameras. But we could only, let's start with what we got now. We got something that stinks high hell, and I think everybody can accept that. So I want to thank everybody. First, thank for everyone who super chatted today, because this video is not going to make any money because of the YouTube algorithm. They're going to demonetize this because I played you. But I think it's so important that we all just look at the facts and we see what actually happened. And I think it's good for us to go and have these conversations with the side chat and with you guys, so you guys can at least see what happened. Now, at the end of the day, this guy is dead. One of the cops are dead. But should these other officers be held accountable? Should the investigation continue on? I think so, and hopefully we will find out some answers. But as of right now, the case is still ongoing, and if there's any more updates, I will definitely let you know. So with that said, I want to thank you to my mods, thank you to all the fans who super chatted, and I understand some people are going to be upset and leave the channel because some people come in, but I feel it was another creator who I was talking to, a right-wing creator, somebody who's very right-wing. And they told me, they were like, well, Nate, you got to be careful what you say. And I'm like, well, what do you mean be careful? I'm always careful what I say. What do you mean by be careful? They're like, well, you don't want to alienate, because they say I have a big conservative base, a conservative following, which is true. I'm not dumb. But they were like, you don't want to upset them. You don't want to say something and they all fly away. And I said, well, what more can I say that's going to upset them? I told them I'm voting for Biden. I told them I don't like Trump. But I also tell them the truth, right? I tell you guys the absolute truth as it comes. You know, if it's for me, if it's against me, when it comes to these police shootings, I just give you the absolute facts. Here they are. And so I told them, I said, I think people come to me because they know that I disagree. I want people who are going to disagree with me, but they know that I'm going to give them the full story. And I don't care if they disagree with me. Right. So if you're one of those people who feel that, who are waiting for me to say something that is too left leaning, or understand, I feel like I'm the freest commentator on YouTube when it comes to this stuff, because I don't have to push a narrative. I don't have to say all police are good and try to figure out how to put. I don't have to say all police are bad. I can say whatever I want. The other day I was saying Joe Biden is one of the most corrupt politicians ever. I can say that because I feel it's true. And I can say Trump was also one of the most corrupt politicians ever. I can say that because I believe it's true. And I'm free and I feel like I'm just free to be as honest as possible with you guys and the way I feel. And if you feel that honesty is too much for you, then I understand this may not be the place for you. But the only thing I can promise you is that I'll give you the full story as I know it. I'll give you both sides. And if you want to continue to come and be a part of this experience, I'd love to have you. But if you just want to hear what people want to tell you, or if you want to be confirmed about your own biases, this may not be the place for you. So I thank you for your patronage if you're going to continue. And if you're going to leave, I wish you all the best of luck. But we will be moving on to the next case. We have a couple of more police shootings that we're going to break down live. And I have some videos that will be coming up. There's going to be a couple of coming up just for Patreons and members. So those are going to be videos that they're just going to see. Then I have a couple of other produced videos for you all. I'm also going to be doing a law school series where we're going to breaking down things like criminal law, contract law. So I'm going to be doing that series so you guys can actually get the full version. I want to get almost a law school for free type catalog, but that's really going to be only for my members and subscribers. So for instance, I'll teach you the principles of contract law. I'll teach you the principles of criminal law, and I'll teach you some of the principles of constitutional law, just broken down in a very simplified way. So you'll get that as members. So I'm just trying to put together that series so you guys can have that value, because I think that'll be important, especially when people start talking and stuff, and you can have just that little bit of an edge from a legal perspective. And obviously, I taught in a law school, so I'll give you that perspective from that instance. So if you like that type of stuff, and I'll obviously be putting out for some mass, but most of it's going to be for members. So that's going to be coming soon. So with all that said, I appreciate your honesty. Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate it. And thank you to you all for watching. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I will see you next time. Peace.